Hey everybody, welcome back to Under the Surface. It's been a minute since I have recorded an episode. I'm really excited to be sharing the episodes in this format on YouTube as well, and just coming out of hiding a little bit and letting the world see my face. Thank you for being here. If you are new here, my name is Crystal Woods. I am a human design specialist, mentor, teacher, and speaker. I'm also an in-person event host and a coach, and a mother of two, and welcome to my world. Okay, moving on. So I had these intentions. Actually, funny story. I recorded this episode yesterday. It took me forever. I'm still learning how to not force, and in retrospect, I was kind of forcing yesterday, and it wasn't feeling good. Because it took me like 2 hours to record the episode, which is so rare. Like usually I just let it rip and I let it be what it is, and it flows and it's good and I feel good about it and we're good to go. And of course I wasn't feeling that way. So of course, at the end of those 2 hours, I go ahead and look, and I'm using new recording software. And so I look at it and nothing recorded. And I was like, oh, so that was pointless, which of course it wasn't. It's a process, but word to the wise, don't force, let it flow. And if it's not flowing, put it down, walk away. It's probably not the right time. And of course, later on in the day yesterday, after this had happened, and I had a little temper tantrum about it, I went outside and I had some tears, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to trust. It's all divine. It's fine. And I went out with the kids, and while we were out, we were stopped at a red light, and I kind of had an aha moment about this episode and kind of the angle I wanted to take and all of that. And I was like, oh, okay. That's why it wasn't the right time. And, it's hard though. It's hard to let it flow sometimes. And I'm still learning that. So if you are too, solidarity. Okay. So I want to talk about reinvention today for a few reasons, but it's interesting. I had taken a break from the podcast. I've been kind of hermiting out. I did a podcast interview today, and I said to her, I was like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't really been present on social media. She's like, oh yeah, we've noticed. I'm like, I go down my rabbit holes, especially when I'm in a manifestor urge or even in a rest cycle. It's just, if I don't have the urge to be present on social media, I don't. And I've really been cooking up something behind the scenes. And, part of my process, part of what I've learned as a manifestor, and part of what helps me to have clear vision is to really just, I don't want to say block out noise, but really let myself be in my little cave. Let myself introspect. Let myself, nurture a new way of being, nourish a new way of being, nurture the revelations, integrate, learn, extract, that whole process for me, kind of observing myself go through it, and then observing when the urge hits, when the vision hits, and that burst of energy comes, and observing that natural process for me with new perspective and new awareness is so very cool. And I think that because I have allowed myself to take that time in that space, it just means that now coming back, I have so much to say, and I have so much to share. And again, reinvention feels very present for me. And this desire to, it's interesting because on the one hand, and I feel like you're going to relate, let me know in the comments if you do. On the one hand, it's there's almost a part of me that wants to come out and say, oh, here I am now, because there's a little part of me that is still internalizing a little bit of I know that, a little part of me, not being proud of who I've been, or not being proud of some things that I've done, or ways I've behaved, or choices I've made, or beliefs that I've held. And I think that anytime we grow, anytime we evolve, that is part of that discomfort, is waking up to oh yeah, I did that, or I was that, or I behaved that way. And, you know, allowing yourself to see it and kind of accepting it, forcing yourself to accept it, because there really isn't anything else that you can do. It's like you either feel eternal turmoil over, you know, ways that you've been in the past or things that you've done in the past, whether it be out of survival mode or for whatever reason. It's like, if you can't forgive yourself and you can't accept it and you can't let go and release it, it's exceedingly more difficult to move forward. So, you know, and in that process, it's like also just gaining this acceptance with who you are and wanting to express that for other people too. Like, I'm rambling. That's what I do. I ramble. But anyway, so I'll also say that it is Sunday around lunchtime. My children are eating in the next room. They may or may not interrupt at some point, and I may or may not edit it out. So that's my disclaimer. Okay. Reinvention. Okay. So I had this idea that I was going to do this reintroduction episode, this solo episode, coming back after a couple months of taking off and just being in my bubble, right? And then, of course, I start reading about this transit, this full moon that we're having today, of course, of all days. And I was like, oh, of course, I'm feeling this urge to reinvent, or this urge to express, because this full moon is happening in gate 60, limitation. It's also the channel of mutation. And, you know, so I've been doing a little bit of studying on that since yesterday and reflecting on that. And I think many of us are feeling the desire or the urge to reinvent ourselves and like birth a new version of ourselves into the world. Or maybe it's an idea or a vision or, you know, a new offer in your business, whatever it is. I think a lot of us just the collective evolution, the collective progression of how things have gone over the last few years. I think a lot of us are in a space right now, especially with the current astrology, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. A lot of us are feeling this desire or urge to reinvent, to like kind of come out with our new selves or our big idea. And I think that it's such a beautiful thing to like, you know, feel this sort of urgency, and also remembering that part of the cycle of reinvention is actually like clearing the deck first. Because it's like when you're in the muck and the mire, so to speak, and you're questioning, you know, who am I really? What do I really want? You know, what's going to get me there? You know, what does that look like? And I know a lot of us have faced a lot of major life challenges and transitions as well. I mean, all of us collectively have too. So it's like, you know, when you're in that space, it can be really disorienting, and you're trying to like just feel your feet under you. And if you've been in that space, it's almost impossible to get like real clarity from that, because your body's almost in this state of dysregulation, this state of overwhelm or overextended, and you can't really receive anything. You can't receive clarity, you can't receive energy to move forward, and it feels like crap, right? And the energy of gate 60 actually like comes in a pulse. So when it's not on, it's very much off. But then when it is on, there is, you know, when you do start to get that clarity, when you do start to like lift the veil, so to speak, and you start to feel yourself again, and you start to know the way forward again, or at least be ready to take a step in that direction, it's like you want to go quickly, because you feel relief. You're like, oh, thank God. Like, I knew that wasn't going to last forever. I'm so glad that I'm here now, and I want to like go full steam ahead. But I think what we can be in a space of right now with this full moon is actually clearing the space first, because part of reinvention is like, I'm almost imagining just like getting rid of like all this clutter, like from your actual aura. Like there's stuff in your aura that is, it's like when you feel those versions of yourself, when you feel yourself like slipping into old beliefs, old patterns, or old behaviors, it's because there's still stuff in your aura, there's stuff in your environment, both internally and externally, that is reminiscent of that thing or that version of you that you are now ready to release. But you need to understand that there's like we need to understand, this is for me too, we need to understand that there's like this inherent like intertwining of, I mean, like everything is as above, so below. Is that how it goes? As above, so below. So like, you know, what needs to be cleared before you charge ahead with this new idea or this new version of you, this reinvention. So taking the time for this full moon, taking the time for this full moon in gate 60. And by the way, the Earth and the moon and Pluto all in gate 60. So gate 60 limitations. When you look at the gene key says the gift of gene key 60 is realism. And realism is a beautiful balance of structure and magic. And understanding that common sense accounts for magic, and that you don't create structure to limit. You create structure to give yourself the foundation from which, a strong foundation upon which to grow. So as you are preparing yourself to reinvent yourself or to birth some new idea or vision into the world, it's like making sure that the structure or the foundation that you are creating for yourself right now can hold the entirety, the magnitude of what it is that you are now manifesting, you know, that version of you or that vision, right? So, you know, what Florence Scovel-Shinn, is that how you say it? Is that how you say her name? I was listening to her book a couple months ago, Your Word is Your Wand. Highly recommend that one, especially for manifestors. I listened to it on the Master Key Society YouTube channel. Really good one. And it's from like the 1940s. Anywho, that's not what this podcast is about. However, she says, dig your ditches. Dig your ditches, right? Prepare for the manifestation of whatever this thing is. Because if you don't prepare, here's another one. Here's another quote. I've heard this from a couple of different people, and I don't know the original source of the quote, but it's basically like, sometimes your personality or your charisma will take you into rooms that your character cannot yet hold. Sometimes your vision or your idea will lead you to things, people, opportunities that you have not yet acclimated to or calibrated to or wrapped your mind around. And the more skilled you can become at adapting to those, the less limits you will have. But either way, part of being able to adapt and part of being able to take those things and run and to transcend limitations and bring about a change, part of that is feeling like you have a solid foundation upon which to do it. So let me give you an example. I currently am setting a new solid foundation of beliefs to support my vision that I am currently manifesting. And I 100% feel the urgency to get this out there as soon as possible. But rather than put all my focus there, I'm putting all my focus into What is necessary for me to pour energy into in order to feel fully prepared for this vision to take off? So on a practical level, what ends need tying up? What needs sweeping and clearing, right? So what unpaid bills need paying? What financial planning needs doing? What project planning needs to happen so that things don't fall through the cracks as this vision grows in the way that I imagine it growing? And most importantly, what new beliefs do I need to hold in order to hold this vision? Like, what beliefs are going to be that container? Because the beliefs that got me here have served me well, and they won't get me there. So, rewiring those beliefs in order to get on board with that vision that until this point has felt like there are too many limitations, right? This is a huge theme that's up for review right now, okay? So you have some vision, or you have some vision of what you are wanting or manifesting right now. You've gotten clarity. You've gone through a season that was very murky. You've done the work necessary to work through a lot of your own stuff that needed working through. Like, you've probably gone through some experiences that maybe even were challenging, but ultimately really helped you to remember who you are and what makes you who you are. And now that you're clearer in who you are and what makes you who you are, you're getting clarity on what that vision now is. Now that you have that vision, you're gonna start to, and maybe you're in this right now, a lot of us are, all of a sudden we're like, okay, wow, this feels unfamiliar to me. This feels unfamiliar to me. Maybe it feels scary. I don't want to use that word, because ultimately it's just unfamiliar. This feels unfamiliar to me, which inevitably feels uncomfortable, especially for me. I'm like your Taurus queen over here, right? I'm just like, what is change? So if it feels unfamiliar and uncomfortable, first of all, know that you're doing something right. You're looking towards growth and change. And as long as it ultimately feels good and exciting and expansive, it's probably a very positive change and in alignment with who you truly are. So, yay for a little bit of discomfort when you think about this new vision. That said, what is causing the discomfort? What are the beliefs that are coming up? What are the limitations that are coming up? I'm kind of like diving all the way into this episode. I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit, actually, because I did actually prepare a little structure for it. I had this vision of having a client meet me down there and us staying in a beautiful resort and doing like a private VIP weekend, like kind of like work weekend. If you've been following me for a little while, you know that I host this really beautiful, intimate retreat for creative entrepreneurs and leaders called Work Weekend, and it's so magical. And so basically I was like, let me do a private one of these. And I've done them before, but it had been a while, and I had only done them locally, so near where I live, because I'm very familiar with the area and it just felt safer. This time I was like, no, I want to do it, down there, so I can just make the most of it, and I can also I can work and get paid to do this thing that feels uncomfortable. And I'm going to make the most of it, and I'm going to grow, and I'm going to set a new standard for myself, and these were all my intentions going into this experience. And then I manifested this experience. So I met my private client down there, and we did a weekend, and it was like, this was my vision. This is my vision. This is everything that I wanted. And so the whole thing's manifesting, and we're at this beautiful resort right on the water, like literally had probably the most gorgeous hotel room that I've ever stayed in, right on the water with a balcony, like overlooking the pool and the ocean. It was so peaceful. It was so amazing. The food was amazing. The service was amazing. The spa was a 5-star spa. Like, my client and I just, like, it's so easy between us. And so it's like work, but it's not work. You know what I mean? It's like, it was everything I could have imagined. And it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. Like, I had to do an hour every morning of my breath work, my tapping, my meditating, my journaling, like all of the things, just to work through all of the fear of that was coming up for me, and all of my previous limitations and previous limiting beliefs coming up for me. And I was having to, like, work through those in real time. And I share that because right now, I think when we think about limitations, it's like, and just how I'm experiencing this, and maybe you're experiencing this transit differently, but for me, it's like having some clarity about where I want to go, and also understanding that in order for me to take it as far as I would like to take it, as far as I can see it going in my mind's eye, yeah, I do actually kind of have to hone my timing a little bit and clean up what needs cleaning up and set a solid foundation or a solid structure that this thing can just flourish upon. So with that said, I have so many notes here, and I'm just like, I don't want to say any of these things right now. So maybe these notes are for something else, but I want to share with you some practical ways that you can work with the energy of this transit, because I think that, you know, the fact that we have had two full moons in the sign of Capricorn in a row, that apparently is very rare. All of these themes, especially, you know, with this particular gate or gene key limitation, these themes of limitation are coming up, and it's like the limits that you have always had, how can we transcend those so that we can actually make a sustainable change, a change that will last, a change that you won't sabotage, a change that won't fall apart because there's no structure to hold it. So here are some suggested practices. These are some things that I'm going to be doing today and tomorrow. And so I invite you to do the same. Okay, so first of all, getting into nature. I had a note over here about, look at you guys, do you know how many books I have on my desk right now? So, in the Gene Keys book, Richard Rudd, you know, is also talking about like the structure of nature, and how nature is a beautiful example of this gene key, because this gift of realism says, you know, there is structure and there is plenty of room for magic. Like, there is structure in nature. It's very structured. It's very cyclical and predictable, and also there's plenty of room for magic. There's plenty of room for the unexpected. There's plenty of room for a little bit of chaos, right? And even in chaos, there is inherent order. So my first ritual suggestion is to get into nature. Get into nature. I personally am feeling like I want to be in the sand at the beach, and I want to just lay my body on the warm sand and listen to the water, and climb the rocks with my kids. And for me, I think I want to just let my mind rest a little bit, stop trying to figure things out, and let nature inspire me. Let the beautiful structures and magic of nature really inspire me, and let my being like be infused with that. So I invite you to try that out. A meditation suggestion. So, and this is what I plan to do later as well, as I wrap up my day. but talk to the vision or talk to the version of yourself that you are about to manifest. So like close your eyes, create a nice little space for yourself. If you have an altar, maybe sit in front of your altar, maybe light a candle, really like ritualize it and romanticize it. Okay, like really thoroughly enjoy this. Okay, don't just be like, oh, I have to meditate because Crystal said that my answer would come in meditation. No. Like carve out space for yourself, sit down, light a candle, make it beautiful. Maybe even look at a picture of something that represents what you are trying to, what you are manifesting, right? So close your eyes, connect with yourself, connect with your breath, maybe even do some deep breathing. Connect with your breath, slow down your mind as much as possible. Slow down your nervous system, slow everything down, like really milk it. Maybe even like just feel into the feeling of gratitude. And then bring your vision or bring the version of you who is already in your vision or who has already manifested the vision. Bring them to your mind, to your mind's eye, and talk to them. Ask them what structures need to be in place in order for them to thrive. Whether it's your vision or you in the future. What structures can you put into place now that will help you to thrive then? Number one, get into nature. Let nature, the structure and magic of nature inspire you. Let messages come to you. Let your mind quiet. Number two, meditate. Talk to your vision or talk to your future self who's already manifested the vision and ask what structures need to be put in place in order for you to thrive in that vision. The third thing I suggest for you to try is to write down, do a little journaling, pull out your journal, write down 5 things you are currently manifesting, okay? Maybe there aren't 5, maybe there's only 1. However many feels good to you, how about that? However many feels good to you to write down of what you're manifesting, okay? Like I am manifesting a new car. That's an example, okay? So write all those things down. Then underneath, like maybe you could do columns for each of them. Underneath, write down every single limiting thought or belief that comes up when you think about that thing. So like for me, no, I should really just drive my car until I can't drive anymore, right? That's one thing that comes up for me. No, I should really be responsible and just like drive my car until it totally shits the bed before I even think about getting a new car. That's a frivolous expense. Whatever your limiting thoughts or beliefs are, okay? Or like another example for me is there is this vision that I have. It came to me during my time when my children were with their father, after I had rested and given myself space. This vision came to me with this huge burst of energy, and I did so much in 3 days initiating this vision, right? And it's just bursting out of me. I'm so excited to share it. And also, this is currently in the space that I'm in, me pumping the brakes a little bit and saying, okay, like what needs to be tied up? So when I think of that vision, like what are the immediate limitations that come to mind about that vision? And like how big I see it getting, or how much impact I see it having is a better way of putting it. So all the things that come up, right? I think about the past and how previous visions I've had did not pan out the way that I thought they would, or the way that I hoped they would, right? So my past is a limitation. My current schedule, all of the things. Now, I want to say, like, some of these limitations are valid. Some of these limitations actually need to be addressed on the material plane, but you need to be aware of them first, right? So And then other limitations are simply things that you are able to change with your mind by changing your perspective or changing your belief. So get clarity about that. Then burn your list of limitations and say, I am open to magic. I am open to transcending all of my perceived limitations and manifesting my vision with ease. Okay? So, get in nature, number 1. Meditate, number 2. Journal, number 3. Number 4, we're going to tap. Tap, tap, tappity tap. Okay? So, you're going to tap on all of those limits. You're going to forgive yourself for letting them limit you up to this point, right? You're going to accept some of them as you're tapping, and then you're going to transcend those limitations by saying, I transcend my limitations now. I know that I hold the power to receive anything that I could possibly need in order to manifest my vision. I know that I am ready now. I know that I am enough now. I know that I am healed enough now. I am doing the work to put in structures that will help my vision to thrive. I know exactly what needs to be done. The answers come to me so quickly and easily. I remove all resistance from my path. I know that I am a co-creator with God or universe. I know that it is not all up to me, but I do my part with joy and enthusiasm. I trust what feels good, and I trust what doesn't, and I act accordingly. I do not second guess myself. I do not gaslight myself, but I believe in myself implicitly. Regardless of anyone else's perceived lack or limitations, I know exactly what mine are, and I welcome in magic to remove all obstacles. I am on my side, and I trust myself to hold my vision. I know that I'm the one. I believe in myself. I believe in my vision, and I believe in the good it will do in the world. I believe the world deserves to experience it. I believe that I deserve to embody all that I need and want in this life in order to live this calling. I trust in myself. I trust in this vision. I trust in life for providing everything that I need. I am open to new ways of transcending all limitations. I am open to miracles and to things going my way. I'm open to seeing things in my favor. I harness my power now to create a life beyond my wildest dreams and feel in a state of overflow as much and as often as I've ever thought possible. Okay, see? There we go. Do that. We'll timestamp it so you know exactly where to go if you want to tap. If you need a little bit of inspiration, you could even just say those affirmations out loud in the car as you're driving. If you're feeling like those limitations are really coming up and you're starting to spiral and you're starting to doubt yourself and you're starting to doubt if you have what it takes and you're starting to doubt if you even know what to do, just trust, 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 trust. And then the fifth one is to move your body, okay? All of these practices will move a lot of energy. The transits themselves right now, the way that things are, the energy right now is a lot, it's intense. So moving this energy with the intention, with the visual of letting those limitations melt away, letting your fears melt away. Maybe that means like just dancing and embodying more joy and flow and ease. Or maybe it means going to the gym and running on the treadmill until everything sweats out of you. That actually sounds so good. I'm like, maybe I'll go do that. You know, maybe it is doing some somatic tapping, you know, tapping on your body. Maybe it's twerking. Do you see how serious I am? Like twerking I've been actually doing it in the mornings, like just shaking that whole area, like letting your hips move, letting your hips go, shaking your hips, like removing all of that stuck and stagnant energy, you know? Dance, move your body, sweat, okay? This is such powerful energy and we're all feeling it, and now's the time to release it so that you can welcome in that new vision and welcome in that new version of yourself. And on that note, as I've shared, I am going through a big kind of restructure of my business in order to support the next vision, the next intention, the next evolution, the next change, the next version of me, and some things that I'm working on welcoming into my life and creating space for in my life. And because of that, you know, I'm feeling the healthy urgency to finally follow through on some of the plans that I have had for setting up my business in certain ways and kind of stepping out in some ways and taking on a different role. And I'll share more details about that. But in the meantime, I'll just say, you know, and I think too, if you're really relating to everything that I'm saying and you're feeling this reinvention coming and you're feeling this new vision about to birth itself in your life or in your business, it's like, I know that it feels really good to charge ahead, especially if you've been in a space that has felt really uncomfortable for a while and you're just like feeling relieved to be excited about something new again. It's like sometimes there's so much sweetness that we miss out on when we charge ahead. We forget that this stage that we're in right now has been so deeply important as well and has brought us so many beautiful blessings as well. And I know for me, like I'm just really just marinating in the magic of the way my business is right now and how it has nourished me and my family as well. And just feeling the sweetness of that and feeling the sweetness of everything that has made up my business up to this point. And with that, I am excited to open up my calendar for the rest of the year for one-on-ones. So I have 2 spots for ongoing advising and mentorship. So these are for you if you are, you know, you have an established business already, you are at a point where you have seen some success, your business is doing well, and you're kind of ready to reinvent, you're kind of ready to do something differently or birth something new into the world, and you want to have support from someone who can walk you through that process, or at least walk beside you as you take yourself through that process, as you take your business through that process, someone who understands you on a deeper level through your human design and astrology charts, who understands like the timing of things with, the transits and how they're affecting you personally, and who understands that what it is like to do things differently and feel different and have a true purpose of service and a true purpose of making a difference in people's lives, and marrying that with enterprise and finding a way to do it that feels really good for you, uniquely for you and your energy and your design. So this is a very it's a deeper, more intimate container, my ongoing mentorship, but I do have a 6-month package available. And then I, of course, have a new offering. Have a new offering. It's called the Embodied Alignment Experience. So this is a package of 3 sessions. The first session focuses on you and your design. What are your hidden superpowers and gifts that you could be leaning into even more? What are the challenges and points of tension or friction that you're experiencing right now, and how are they actually a part of your path and embodying your potential? And what are the ways in which you influence others? Where does your sense of purpose actually come from? So we go deep into all of these themes, and we talk about ways to integrate this into your life in very real, practical ways. So where in your life you might feel out of alignment and how to come back into alignment. And then we do the same for your relationships, which is the second session. So we do connection charts between you and your spouse or your business partner or your child or your parent. And we take a look at where maybe, again, some of those points of tension are, and find like where we can find more acceptance of yourself, more acceptance of the other person, more acceptance of the dynamics in the relationship, and how to potentially shift the ones that don't feel good. And then the third session is focusing in on the business. So what parts of your business are not feeling flowy right now, or are not in full alignment with where you want to go and what you want to create, and how can we maybe tweak those a little bit in accordance with your design? And how can I offer perspective shifts or creative strategies that you might not have thought of before for growing your business in a really soul aligned yet efficient, sustainable way? So three session experience, embodied alignment experience. There are links in the show notes to both of those offerings. And then of course I have Work Weekend, my group retreat, which we are also filling spots for. So all of the intimate one-on-one and small group work that I am doing, I am, filling up my books for the rest of the year. And then I honestly don't know, looking into 2025, what I'm going to be doing in those capacities. So I will just say that if you have been wanting to work with me, or you're in a space where you've been playing with the idea of bringing on more high touch support, maybe this is your time, and maybe you're listening to this for a reason. And if so, go ahead and click those links in the show notes. Otherwise, that is all I have for you today, but I am going to be having some exciting updates coming through soon. Just stay tuned. Let me know if you do any of these practices that I suggested. You can leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can send me a DM on Instagram if you were listening to the podcast. Let me know what resonates with you, and I'm just wishing you all the energy of release and of just removing and sweeping away anything that's no longer serving you. And I'm just wishing you the fortitude and the devotion to your new vision and to your new version of yourself, to be able to maintain these new beliefs and these new patterns that you are etching in your life right now. And that's my wish for myself too. So that is that for today. I am sending you all the love. I will be back soon, and thank you for listening.